Okay guys, so again I'm doing a voiceover. I'm so sorry, but a voiceover is going to be so much better than listening to that stupid autofocus, I swear. Never using that again. Anyways, basically what I'm explaining in the video is that I already have my foundation and my eyebrows done. You guys have seen me do it a million times. I don't think I need to do it again. But I did use 3 new products for my foundation and for my primers. So if you guys do want to see a tutorial on that, then I will do it. It's a lot different than what I normally do. Normally I do matte. This one's dewy. So I can definitely do a tutorial on that. So I'm going to start off with priming my eyes. That's really important in this step since we're going to be using about 5 different palettes or 5 different colors. You really want to use primer to get that pigmentation on your eyelid. So I'm using MAC's Paint Pot, and this is in the shade Soft Ochre. And then I'm just grabbing a synthetic brush. Usually you want to use a flat brush. It helps to evenly spread the product. And then you're just going to apply that all over your lid. So we're going to dive into the first shade we're using, and this is Jeffree Star's Androgyny palette, and we're going to be using this orangey yellow color. The name is Charm on there. So I'm going to be applying this with a Morphe brush. Any kind of fluffy brush will work. You want it on the smaller end since you're going to be applying the product more in one area. So I'm just applying this in the crease of my eye, and I'm bringing it up towards my brow bone. Since this is a dramatic look, it's okay to bring it up higher than you normally would. And then you really want to blend it out. You don't want any harsh lines. Just make sure you blend away. So for the second color, I'm going to be using the Supernatural palette from Hot Topic. So a little disclaimer, these are very pigmented, but they are for not long wear. They will rub off. They have a lot of beautiful colors, but honestly, they're not for an all day or all night wear. So for the second color, I'm going to be using that cobalt blue, and it's called Jerk. I'm going to put that on a smaller synthetic brush since I'm going to be working in the inner corner of my eye. So what you want to do is just pat it down first, get that color applied there, and really focus on keeping it in the inner corner of your eye. And then you're just going to blend that into the orange, really making sure that you blend it in the crease more so and spreading it a little bit more towards the middle of your lid. So for my third shade, I'm going to be going over that blue that I used since it does not stay all day. I'm going over with a foil color, which is also blue. This is by ColourPop Cosmetics, and it is in the shade Mermaid. So I'm just using the same brush that I used for the other blue, and I'm going to go over it and just pack that foil color down. It just gives it a little bit more of a pop and adds a little bit more pigment to it, just making sure that's going to stay all day and all night. So I did forget to mention that since our foundation is done, you want to use a loose powder. It can be any powder. I'm using the Laura Mercier powder. And then you want to get your damp beauty blender and just pack it down underneath your eyes so that if you have any fallout from your product, you'll be able to just wipe it away instead of using a makeup remover cloth that might spread it in your foundation, and then you'll just have to reapply your foundation anyways. so now we're going to be going in with our fourth color, and I'm going to be using Jaclyn Hill's palette. I did lose that piece of paper in the palette finally, or it is somewhere in my house, so I don't know what the color is of that light blue that I'm using. But I am just putting that at the very end of where I stopped with the other blue, just so that it makes it a little bit of an easier transition instead of having such a harsh dark blue line. So I'm just blending that into the darker blue and more towards that middle of the lid, just making sure that everything's blended out really nicely and that there aren't very many harsh lines. So for the next color, I'm going to be using the Morphe 350 palette, and I'm going to be using this red shade in there, and the shade is called Fire. It is a really vibrant red shade, and I think it's going to tie the look all together. And I'm really just focusing on having it on that outer corner. So I'm packing it down like I did with the blue, but keeping it contained in that outer corner there, and then blending it in a little bit and blending it in the crease. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the blue. I'm going to blend it out and then blend it in towards the middle of my lid. And then I'm also going to be using an orange shade in there just to go back over the crease and bring back that orange that we started out with, just to tie all of the colors together. So since we are done with the lid, we're going to just take a brush and we are going to wipe off that excess powder, so that if there's any fallout, we can just brush it off instead of having it smear and ruin the foundation that we already have. So I'm going to do some eyeshadow on my lower lash line as well, and it's just going to be the same colors as I used on my top lid. So I'm just grabbing a smaller, precise brush, and then I'm going to dip back into all of the same colors and do it the exact same way that I did on my top lid. After that's done, I just like to get a smaller brush that's fluffier and blend it out just so it's not so harsh on my lower lash line and looks a little bit more natural. Okay, so now for the fun part, we are going to be playing with highlights. So this is Ben Nye, which is actually an FX makeup line. And I did get this at a Halloween store, an FX store, but it's probably one of the best highlights that I own. It's very pigmented and gorgeous. So I am just going to put this in where my tear duct is, the very inner of my eye, just to give it a little bit more pop and really bring all of those colors together and really have my eyes come out. So as you guys can see, it's super pigmented, and that's just using my finger. It's like this silvery white color. It's really gorgeous. So I'm just grabbing that brush, and then I'm just packing it in that inner corner there, just to give it a little bit of pop and bring a little bit more fun to it. So now that we are done with the eyeshadow, I'm just going to put mascara on. Of course, I'm using my Benefits Cosmetics Better Than Sex mascara. And I didn't want to use false lashes just because I know sometimes if you're going, let's say, to Coachella and it's windy and it's dusty, sometimes it's harder to have false lashes. So I did want to show you guys that you can do this look without having false lashes. Knowing me, if I really was going to wear this out, I would be extra and wear really big false lashes just because I am very extra. But again, you don't need to have them. So now we're going to do a little bit of art, and I am going to be using another FX makeup line. This is the Wolf Face Art and FX palette. So it's like, I would say, the equivalent of doing face paint. It's basically face paint, and it's really good. It stays on. It's super pigmented, and it's got really gorgeous colors. So for this look, I'm using a very precise brush. As you can see, it's really, really skinny. So you'll just need some water because obviously you need to get that paint wet. And then once you get that wet, I'm using this white shade right here. So you can use any eyeliner if you guys have like a liquid liner that's white. I just personally like to choose doing the face paint because it stays on longer and I think it's really pigmented. So I'm just going to be going along with my eyebrow. So you guys can do this a bunch of different ways. You can do really big dots, small dots, space them apart, put them close together. However you want to do it, you can be creative in your own way. I chose to just follow my eyebrow with the arch and everything and do smaller ones, but I guess these are about medium. And as you guys can see, I'm spacing them out just a little bit, but keeping them a little close together just to get more of them on my face, because I did want them to be noticeable. So for my actual face, I'm not going to do contour because I'm doing a lot of highlight on my cheekbones, and so I didn't want them to clash. So I'm using that Ben Nye that I used on my eyes, and then I'm also going to be using Jeffree Star's Ice Cold Skin Frost. They're both white, silver, and they work really well together. So I'm just using a smaller highlight brush just to pack that on my cheekbones and really get it on there. And I'm going to be using my highlight as my contour. So as you can see, I'm just slowly packing that on, and it really doesn't take much, especially with Jeffree Star's. His Skin Frost is super pigmented. And I'm just bringing that up to my hairline and then following it with the curve of my face alongside where my eyebrow bone is. So after I've used Jeffree Star's, I'm going to use that Ben Nye, and I'm just going to go over it a little bit just to make it really dramatic and make it show a lot on my cheekbones. So I'm just doing the same thing as I did with the Jeffree Star and following it along my brow bone. And then I'm just grabbing a bigger highlighter brush and blending that out, bringing it down a little bit, bringing it up a little bit, and just making it so that it is covering my cheekbone. there is no look for me that I can possibly do that wouldn't tie in with me contouring my nose. I really did a dramatic contour for my nose as well because I kind of went for this like alien festival vibe, and so I wanted my nose to look super skinny. So I just used the lighter shade in my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and then I just brought in my contour a little bit more than I normally would, and then just blended it out just to give my nose that smaller, skinnier look. After I blended it out, you guys know that I had to go back in with my highlight and highlight my nose, the bridge of my nose, and then the tip of my nose as well. So since I did such a dramatic look, I kept my lips pretty simple. I used my Too Faced liquid lip, and this is in the shade Go Girl. And it's just a nude lip, kept it very simple, but I did overdraw my lips just to make it a little dramatic. So the video did cut out, but I think that the look really came together. I think it's a fun festival look to do. It's not overly dramatic, but just dramatic enough, and I think it could go with a lot of outfits. So I hope that you guys like it. So if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe down below and turn on the push notifications so you know when I post. I know this video is a little bit later. I'm sorry, I was sick. My voice was not gone, but it was really hard for me to talk, so I didn't want to film if I wasn't able to like talk with you guys. So it is a little late, but it's here nonetheless. I'm not going to be able to post a workout video on Monday like I normally would because I did not work out because I was sick. So next week I will post a workout video, and then I will post again. I think I'm going to be doing a story time or what it's like to be divorced at 26. So tune in for that, you guys. And yeah.